Hi, Brian Graff here again to talk another update on tax reform. And some things have changed since we last talked about this issue that I think you need to be aware of. A couple of circumstances have made it somewhat more likely that tax reform could actually happen in this Congress. The key really hinges on the debt ceiling. As we've talked about before, the debt ceiling is set to expire in the spring, sometime in June. Through extraordinary measures, Treasury can make that last probably through the summer. Now they're saying maybe even into September. But we're still going to have to increase the debt ceiling, and there's some discussions happening among House Republicans about tying tax reform to an increase in the debt ceiling. Particularly, those discussions are being pushed by Chairman Dave Camp from Michigan. And so he's trying to talk to his colleagues in the Republican caucus about tying these things together, and that could definitely increase the prospects of a bigger deal, particularly including tax reform. The second development has to do with Max Baucus, the chairman of the Finance Committee. As you may have read, he announced that he's not running for re-election. That frees him up. He is no longer worried about what he does impacting his election possibilities. And so what that means is that he's going to be much more willing to work with Democrats in the Senate to do a tax reform bill that will meet their needs, particularly in terms of perhaps a tax reform bill that has a net revenue of, let's say, $200, $300, maybe even $400 billion. So the next question then becomes, if there's going to be this big deal involving debt ceiling, what's the number? The House Republicans, Senate Democrats, and the White House would have to agree on a procedure for tax reform that would happen for the rest of the Congress, but it would also probably include a target number of revenue to be generated through tax reform. And that's where it's still unclear whether Republicans will agree to any net tax increase, but they may be put in a situation where they're having to say, well, we'll say no to lower top rates, even though it would have a net increase of tax revenue, let's say $400 billion. And that's where the rub lies. Will they be willing to take on some more taxes if they get a lower rate of, let's say, 28 or 27%? We don't know that yet. We're closely following it. Obviously, this means we're even more engaged from a lobbying perspective. And as always, we will keep you informed. Thanks.